Hey guys, this is CrowR0, and we are in update 0.18, or most people are like, we'll call it update 18. So, let's get into it. Big change is we now have the introduction of the protector enemies. We also have, if you click over on enemies, it'll actually give you all the stats, which is something that we didn't actually have access to before. You can see the rates at, on a particular wave, what's the likelihood that an enemy is actually going to show up. So all of that information is super useful. So what is the deal with the protector enemies? So they basically have the stats of like a basic enemy, but they give like adjacent enemies a barrier that reduces the damage that they receive. But the big game-changing effect that they have is that any of the enemies, including themselves, are immune to instant death effects. That means your orbs, as well as your death ray, will not instantly kill them. So that can have huge repercussions if you are farming, if you had more of like an effective hit point kind of build, and you're really reliant on using your orbs and using death ray to, thin out the enemies. If these guys are around, all the guys next to them are pretty much immune to that, which is really, really annoying. As far as ultimate weapons directly that it affects, the biggest one that it's going to affect is going to be Black Hole. And the reason I say that is it will suck those protector enemies into the Black Hole in with a bunch of other enemies. Normally you would have, your orbs just slicing through it and shredding those enemies, but now they're completely immune to that. And often they'd probably actually be out of your range, so you're not going to be able to shoot in and kill that protector enemy. So in situations like tournaments, it's going to be hugely detrimental to use that there, as well as just general farming. It's going to take a chunk out of how many coins you're able to produce. That's kind of the ugly side of update 18, but there are some really, really good stuff. As I mentioned, if you click over on the wave, it'll give you all the information. That's super useful. What's the wave timer? The cooldown between waves, which is that second bar, that shorter green bar. Yeah. So let's I'm in the middle of the run, but I'm gonna jump out for the sake of this video. Well, new things are the introduction of milestones. So this is an amazing feature. So on the left side, you get all of the things that just by completing, let's say you complete on tier 1, you complete 10 waves. Well, you get 25 coins. If you have the little premium pass, you get 50 coins, which is the stuff on the right. It'll also tell you things like, at wave 30, you unlock your labs. So that's where you can start doing your research. At wave 60, you unlock tournaments. When you unlock tournaments, you can start actually trying to accrue the power stones, which are the little green stones, and you can use those for purchasing ultimate weapons. It talks about a few things as we go through the things. You can go through each of the tiers, find out what it is, but some of the really useful things. I'm going to jump over a little bit. I believe it was... It'll show on the left, like, extra black hole. Some of these little research things that typically it was kind of hidden before, but now, even before you're at that point, you can go, oh, hey, what kind of things are in, like, tier 13? Oh, hey, these are the rewards for doing that. What can I unlock by just completing a certain number of waves? So I think as far as, like, the game goes, it's a lot more transparent in what you get at certain points. And you can start to plan. Not all the information's, like, readily available, but It's a lot more transparent than it used to be. There's also new research that's available. You can see all the stuff that I'm currently researching. Now you can actually see, even if you don't own an ultimate weapon, you can see all of the associated research. So things like, oh hey, maybe I don't have Golden Tower. Well, the labs associated with that ultimate weapon are basically a bonus to the multiplier or longer duration. You can see, like, I don't have Smart Missile, so it's redded out for like the missile amplifier, missile barrage, stuff like that. So it's kind of nice as far as like, oh hey, if I get this, these are the kind of things that I can start to dive in. As I go down, there's also now labs related to the bots. They're a little bit on the pricey side, but they're not too bad. The one that's really on the pricey side are if you're going to do research on giving the enemies debuffs. It's... I kind of have mixed feelings, like it's really, really expensive. I feel like something like this, it should be like a gradual change. You know, something maybe even like, hey, I want to get just a small bonus, or small negative to the enemy. And it's only like one single type of enemy. I don't feel like it should be like a billion something just to get one of those. Something along the lines of, you know, like, oh, it starts at maybe 1 million and it starts to scale up from there. You know, I think that would be a lot more reasonable as far as that goes. But for the time, you know, for a certain population of the player base, this could be very, very useful. There's some things like Protector damage reduction. 70 billion coins? What? That is ridiculous. But some people have just a ton of coins to spend, so when you're like super, super late game, I would say probably in the top 200s, you might pick up a few of these. The downside is it's only really helpful against that one enemy type, so you have to do multiple across, you know, all over the place. Versus something like if you go back and you're looking all the way up at, let's say, your attack. Oh, hey, I can get this attack buff, and that's going to apply across all your ultimate weapons, across all enemy types. So generally, you're going to want to pump more into your basics, you know, your normal attack research, your defense research, before really diving into that stuff. Let's see here. I think there's some more research things in here. Yes, better chances or better stats on your recovery packages. I haven't dived into that yet, but that's actually really, really nice to just be able to have that on the side. It's not dependent on the new card that just got released, and so if you're getting chipped at any point, it's kind of nice that, or actually even semi-regularly, it'll be really nice to actually hopefully be able to get back up to yellow bar relatively quickly. New cards. So we've got the recovery package chance. That will almost like double your chance of actually getting these packages. Really nice if you're getting chipped here and there. Or just making sure that, you know, after you hit one boss and, you know, you're waiting for the next boss to show up, having just a higher chance of recharging those packages is super useful. Head down here, there's another one. Landmine stun chance. Or landmines now stun, which is something that they didn't do. So now your workshop landmines actually will start to stun enemies. That gives them the vastly immense increased amount of resourcefulness. Usually they really wouldn't be useful for much. I didn't even invest anything as far as like lab time on keeping them around longer and whatnot. So having this is actually pretty nice and actually gives landmines more endgame viability. I'm gonna pull that up as well. They also increase the, as far as the radius goes and the landmine damage. The max level on those has increased, so that's super useful, and also, you know, just giving them more viability, just in general. You'll also see that my stats are not all maxed out. I will probably be making another video on that later. This is mostly for farming at this point. And yeah, so those are the big changes. As far as ultimate weapons go, you can tell that I don't have all of them, but I feel like Death Wave and Black Hole have taken a hit. Mostly Death Wave, but Black Hole too. So why I say Black Hole isn't hit as hard is because Black Hole is really, really good for farming extra coins. Now, if you're talking about tournaments, you're not farming coins in tournaments. So, you know, it's not really going to have a whole lot of use there, since you're going to be sucking protector enemies into the Black Hole, most likely, since there's an increased chance in tournaments. So, I would stay clear of Black Hole in tournaments for now. There's some people before this update hit where they were actually speculating that maybe using Black Hole tournaments wasn't a good idea, and I think at this point that kind of solidifies it. Death Wave, which traditionally was used for effective hit point builds, and I'm still currently using it, but I'm in the middle of transitioning out of the effective hit point builds and going more towards you know, going more the damage route. So that's where I'm at right now. And just a little bit of talk about, in general, about some of these ultimate weapons. Obviously, if you're first starting out, Golden Tower is the obvious, just perfect choice for that first one. You may or may not get it, but it's a really good one. The next one that I would probably look into would be either Spotlight or Black Hole. The nice thing about Spotlight is it's always active, and if the enemy is killed within it, you can get coin bonuses, but the coin bonuses you can't unlock that until later, about the same time that you'll get the coin bonuses from Black Hole. And I say those coin bonuses, both of those are in the labs. So those will primarily be used for acquiring more coins. Nice extra effect of Spotlight is it's also going to be enhancing your damage. So you might be able to push the threshold of, you know, how far you can go within your farming in general with those. After that, the two big damage potential ones are going to be your combination of Smart Missiles and Spotlight. So Smart Missiles, the stats that you have, either from when you get it as a perk in a farming run, or if you just have it in general. Those stats will also apply to the little missile that spins out of Spotlight. So those two have a nice little synergy, plus it will go into the next combo, which is Smart Missiles and Inner Landmines. So normally you would have Inner Landmines really, really good at stopping your fast enemies, but which the really nice combination with Smart Missiles and Inner Landmines is, as a boss comes in, the Inner Landmines can start to basically keep the boss stunned for enough time that you can start, you know, this nice massive barrage of your Smart Missiles into the boss. Now, granted, that takes a lot of stone investment into Smart Missile cooldown, but that possibility of super high damage is there for taking out those really beefy bosses. Other than that, Chrono Field, that's always going to have a place on the board. Right now I've got that sort of maxed, and I say sort of because even if you have 60-second cooldown and you have your duration at 60 seconds, there's actually like a microsecond where it's desynced. So, but it's so small, I'm not really worried about it. I'm not going to invest the 230 stones and, you know, getting one more, you know, filling that small little gap. There's a lot of other places that I need that. Poison Swamp is really nice for managing ranged enemies, but yeah, actually that's pretty much sums up Poison Swamp. Other than that, I think that's it for what I've got today. Those are some of the big changes. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you later.